Mamelodi, a popular township in the legislative capital, now the scene of remitting gang violence. Locals suspect a hitman is on the prowl. The targets are the extortion gangs which have terrorized the community for years. The community left traumatized.
It's very, very vicious, and so it also affects us as a community. It's very traumatic.
As fear grips Mamelodi,
given a material to be a rifle. Sad.
The hitman who took out 20 gangsters. Chapter 1. A hero or a killer. In the township of Mamelodi, Pretoria, something strange and terrifying began to unfold. Residents started whispering about a man they called John Wick. Not the movie character, but a real person. He was said to be behind a wave of killings, targeting members of a feared local gang called Boko Haram. The gang had ruled parts of the community with fear for years. But now something had changed. People claimed that as many as 20 gangsters had been gunned down. Another person was seriously wounded. Whoever was doing this wasn't caught and seemed to vanish into thin air after each hit. Some called him a killer, but others called him a savior. Many in the township actually cheered for him. They felt like justice was finally being served, even if it didn't come through the police. Fear started to shift from the community to the gang members. No one felt safe anymore, not even the gangsters. Everyone wanted to know, who was this John Wick? Where did he come from? And could he really be one man doing all of this alone? Chapter 2. Trending in Blood. The killings didn't just shake Mamelodi. They took over the internet. On social media, John Wick and Mamelodi started trending like wildfire. Memes, videos, and theories exploded across platforms. People were sharing news articles, TikToks, and tweets about the mysterious vigilante. The name John Wick comes from a famous Hollywood movie about a skilled hitman, played by Keanu Reeves. In the film, the character goes on a killing spree after losing his wife and dog, and his home being attacked by gangsters. The idea of someone like that cleaning up a crime-ridden township caught people's attention. In a place where many felt abandoned by police, the story hit a nerve. Some saw it as fiction coming to life. Others believed it was all real, and happening right in their backyards. People started comparing the movie scenes to real murders happening in the township. The line between fiction and reality began to blur. People were glued to their phones, waiting for the next body to drop. For many, this wasn't just crime, it was entertainment. But for those living in Mamelodi, it was all too real. Chapter 3. A gang leader gunned down. One of the most shocking moments came when a known Boko Haram leader, Philip Given Mnguni, was killed in broad daylight. The murder was caught on video and spread like wildfire online. In the video, a man whose face is hidden walks up calmly and shoots Mnguni multiple times. Even after Mnguni falls to the ground, the shooter keeps firing. It was ruthless, fast, and terrifyingly precise. People immediately pointed fingers at John Wick. It matched his style, silent, masked, and effective. The hit happened in front of witnesses, but no one could describe the shooter in detail. Fear of speaking out kept mouths shut. The killer disappeared as quickly as he came. Mnguni's death sent a powerful message to the rest of Boko Haram. No one was untouchable. If John Wick could take out a leader, he could take out anyone. The community was buzzing. Was this justice, or just more violence wearing a different face? Chapter 4. The police watch in silence. Police soon confirmed that Mnguni had been linked to multiple criminal cases. He had been a key player in the Boko Haram gang for years. The law had never truly caught up to him, until now. But it wasn't the police who brought him down. In the viral video, the killer's face remained hidden, and his movements were quick and confident. He showed no emotion, just action. It looked like something straight out of an action film. Even after the man lay motionless, the gunman kept shooting. It was as if he wanted to make sure there was no coming back. The crowd watching was frozen, shocked but silent. Nobody screamed. Nobody tried to stop it. The killer vanished without a trace. No fingerprints. No witnesses willing to speak. The police opened a case, but found little to work with. For the community, the silence said everything. Fear had changed hands. Chapter 5. A pattern of death. The hit on Mnguni wasn't the first, nor would it be the last. Days earlier, 7 men had been gunned down in Soshanguve, a township north of Pretoria. All were believed to have ties to Boko Haram. The method was similar: quick hits, masked shooter, and no witnesses. The community was now fully alert. Every gunshot echoed deeper. Then, a Facebook profile appeared with the name John Wick Mamelodi. The person behind the page claimed to be targeting Boko Haram. Posts warned more gang members would fall. Was it the real killer posting, or someone trying to play hero online? Nobody knew. The police didn't confirm a connection, but fear and curiosity grew. People watched the page like a TV series. Each post raised the tension in the air. Everyone was waiting for the next post, or the next killing. Chapter 6. Rival gangs or one-man army. Some reports suggested that John Wick might not be a lone vigilante at all. According to the Pretoria News, the alleged killer could be linked to a rival gang called Bafarasai. This gang was rumored to have once been part of Boko Haram before splitting off. If true, the killings might not be about justice at all, but power. A gang war, hidden under the story of a mysterious hero, could be unfolding right under the community's nose. The Bafarasai gang, it was said, had a stronghold in the area, and their influence grew rapidly with every life lost. The idea of John Wick being part of this faction raised many unsettling questions. If John Wick was, in fact, a member of this faction, his acts of violence could have been calculated moves in a deeper power struggle. It would mean that the bodies piling up were not casualties of a lone man cleaning up the streets, but a calculated strategy in a larger war. The police, however, were unable to confirm these connections. Police spokesperson Brigadier Brenda Muridali told reporters they had no proof John Wick was real. It could be a made-up name, she said. We don't have evidence of a lone gunman. Yet, despite the lack of physical proof, the bodies kept piling up. The fear among residents was real, even if the identity of the killer remained uncertain. People began to question the official narrative. Was the story of a lone vigilante just a cover-up for something far more sinister? Was there a larger power at play, one that hid behind the mask of a mysterious hero? Or was someone really out there, working outside the law to rid the streets of gang members and criminals? The answers were unclear, but one thing was evident: fear was sweeping through Mamelodi. The police had no answers, and yet, the community still believed in the legend of John Wick. The idea of a hero rising from the ashes of violence was a tale many were willing to believe, even if it came at a high price. Chapter 7. Between Fear and Celebration. As the violence continued, Brigadier Muridali suggested that the killings might be a result of a turf war between rival gangs. Boko Haram, once the dominant force, was being challenged by the rise of Bafarasai, a gang that had emerged quickly and with ferocity. While Boko Haram had been powerful, it was clear that they were not invincible. The community began to feel the weight of these gang rivalries as the bodies of their members filled the streets. Some residents celebrated the deaths of gangsters, believing that the chaos was finally being cleared. They saw John Wick as a force of change, someone who was taking action when the police had failed. But not everyone in the community shared this view. For many, the fear of a new gang rising to replace the old one was overwhelming. If one gang replaced another, what would change? It felt like trading one poison for another, where the violence would continue unabated. The idea of John Wick, once seen as a symbol of justice, began to fracture. Some wondered whether he was truly a hero or simply another gangster in disguise. Was he the catalyst for change, or a puppet of a new power trying to take control of the township? The residents of Mamelodi were caught between two opposing emotions: fear and celebration. The questions were mounting. Was John Wick the solution to their suffering, or the beginning of a new, darker chapter? A new ruler using fear to seize control of the streets. Still, despite the uncertainty, many in the community clung to the belief that John Wick was doing what the police could not. He was their only hope, and they wanted to believe in him. The mixed emotions reflected the complexity of the situation. The people wanted peace desperately. They were tired of the constant presence of gangs and the danger they brought. But in the end, the peace they sought seemed to come at a heavy price. Bullets were the currency of change. No one knew what the future would bring, but one thing was certain: the violence was far from over. Chapter 8. A Masked Legend in the Shadows. As the bodies continued to fall, the name John Wick became more than just a rumor. It became legend in Mamelodi. The name spread like wildfire, becoming synonymous with fear and hope alike. To some, he was a hero, someone who had the courage to stand up against the criminal forces that had plagued their lives for so long. The chairperson of the Community Policing Forum in Mamelodi West echoed these sentiments, saying that many people saw John Wick as a figure of justice, someone who was finally taking the law into his own hands when the authorities had failed them. But with the rise of this legend came a darker side. False rumors and distorted stories began to circulate. Not every killing was the work of John Wick, yet many were attributed to him. Fake stories flooded social media, stoking fear and paranoia. These stories only intensified the sense of mystery surrounding the vigilante. Some of these reports were completely fabricated, murders that hadn't even occurred, designed to spread chaos or gain attention. The police, however, refuted many of these claims. They pointed out that during some of the periods when these rumors were at their peak, no killings had been reported. But by then, the legend had already taken on a life of its own. The line between myth and reality became increasingly blurred. John Wick had no face, no voice, no name, just a shadow with a gun. The mystery surrounding him only added to his allure. Some believed he was untouchable, that he would never be caught or stopped. Others warned that his time would eventually come, that no one could outrun the consequences of their actions forever. But until that moment arrived, the streets of Mamelodi remained on edge. The tension was palpable. The legend of John Wick was real enough to grip the community, but the man behind the myth was still a complete unknown. Watching, waiting, and in the dark corners of the township, no one knew who would be next.